But thankfully I won't have to pull goods trains for long. Not after the new engine gets here. New engine? What new engine? Haven't you heard? The Topham Hatt is getting another engine. Excuse me, do you know where Knapford is? But this is Knapford. Where are you from? I'm from Brighton, on the mainland. Sir Topham Hatt's new engine! Edward couldn't believe his eyes. Standing there was a little tank engine from the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway. He was in a green livery with the number 70. And who are you? I'm Thomas. And with this... Hello everyone. Today we are going to start a new series called Introducing Characters from Sodor's history. Meaning I'll be talking about every character seen in my upcoming series Sodor's history in detail. When they arrive, what numbers they have, which jobs, trains they have, and which lines they actually won. And of course, we'll start with our favorite number 1 engine, Thomas.
Thomas is a tank engine who lives at a big station on the island of Sodor. He's a cheeky little engine with 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome.
To keep this series consistent, I have made a few categories I'll be talking about. For Thomas, it is pretty much the same as the TV show, aka The Adventure Begins. So, in the late spring of 1922, Sir Topham Hatt I, controller of the Northwestern Railway, had a lot of trouble going on as Henry wouldn't leave the tunnel between Knapford and Crosby, cutting the main line into half. He didn't argue long and left him there. However, this meant no trains could run from coast to coast. So, until his planned second tunnel next to Henry would be built, he decided to build a line up to Elsbridge, the end of the Knapford branch line, so that all trains could run on it until the new tunnel is completed. Of course, the timetable was completely mixed up, as the coffee pots were working the line as well, often causing delays. But Topham was glad trains could run at all. At the same time, the Knapford branch line was getting an extension up to Farquhar, where it would link up to the newly opened Innova quarry. The extension was completed a few days after the line to Elsbridge was finished. The coffee pots were still assigned to this line. However, later that year as well, they were all sent to Crewe, as their parts had been worn out. The workmen there couldn't keep it a secret from Topham, so they told him the coffee pots couldn't do proper work anymore. Topham wanted them back, but as they wouldn't be used anymore, they were originally put in the siding, but they were getting in the way, and museums didn't exist yet, so they were scrapped, except for the number 1 Glyn. Between the next event, 2 new engines arrive. Gordon in place of Henry, who was still in the tunnel, and James, who was tested out on the branch line trains between Knapford and Farquhar, as well as some goods trains on the main line. And Edward, Henry, Gordon and James were given the numbers 2 to 5 from the coffee pots respectively. This is where Thomas finally comes onto Sodor, the same as in the 2015 special, The Adventure Begins. He gets shown around in the yard, gets dragged on by Gordon behind the express, attempts to pull a passenger and goods train, both ending up badly. However, after rescuing James from his accident, he is pleased when he earns his own branch line, the one to Farquhar. Also, he is given the number 1. And this is where we get into the facts about Thomas. Let's get started. Thomas was built in 1915 to serve in the war. He was used a lot back then, Following 1919, however, he wasn't used anymore, so he was left in a siding until 1922, when he was bought by Sir Topham Hatt. Thomas is given the number 1, which he is to this very day. His jobs on the island are his regular branch line trains from Elsbridge, Knapford or Teignmouth up to Farquhar, Callan and even on special occasions to Ulstead village and its castle. He uses his 2 favorite coaches, Arnie and Cloverville, but he also runs a mainline service between Knapford and Vickerstown since 1964. For these, he uses Arnie and Cloverville, as well as Victoria, who joined them in 1995. Thomas has been having many adventures over the years. The first few years were not as dramatic as the later. At first, it was just him getting covered by coal, not being allowed on the tramway to Nova Quarry, him racing Bertie, falling down into a mine, getting derailed quite often, pulling the mail together with Percy, meeting Queen Elizabeth II twice, and many more adventures. These all happened mostly before and during the 50s. Following this, he went through even bigger adventures, crashes and so on. He thought he can go on his own and becomes a runaway twice in season 2. In one, he crashes through the station master wall after being praised by his driver.
Driver says I don't need him now.
And in another, he leaves the station too early and is stopped by Harold. But that isn't all. He also meets new friends, like old slow coach, Ryan, Daisy, Arthur, Murdoch, Emily, Samson, Skiff, and so on. And he even has bigger adventures, like finding Great Waterton, going to the Great Railway Show, helping rebuild the ruins of Ulstead Castle, and chasing a pirate who stole the long-lost treasure. And even that isn't all. When the Railway series, as well as the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends show came out, he was the most popular engine in it, and after a long time in the 90s, Thomas went not only to the Railway Museum in New York, but also on his Big World Tour, aka Big World Big Adventures. Not how it's portrayed in it, but it's definitely based on it. For it, I am someday making a video on how I have the tour play out, but I won't promise anything yet. Thomas also went through many different, feelings. This was especially true during the trips in the 90s. Thomas is a very interesting character. He went through many more things than others, from being very cheeky.
Wake up, lazy bones. Do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me.
To the useful, helpful number 1 he is today. And not all characters are like him, and that's surely why he is the most popular of the entire fleet of engines on Sodor. Haha, yes Edward, I am. Whoa. Wake up, lazy bones! Why don't you work hard like me? Oh, the indignity! Don't worry, Mr. Coffee Pot, I will. You can count on me.